All right. This is our first repeat caller or texter. Caller sounds better. Afternoon Glory, spelled right. Sorry for the spelling error in the last message. I appreciate the call out. Won't happen again. First off, don't ever take anything I say with a grain of salt. I still don't know what that means, but I think it means don't take it so that was the second. Your first message was the second message ever. You could have said dipshit. You could have said afternoon fuckface. You could have slandered my name left and right. You could have gone to who we were talking about. Who was the greatest glore? You can go ahead and piss on their grave, and I'll welcome your question with open arms. I appreciate that. First off, please watch Fantastic Mr. Fox, Wes Anderson. It's a personal recommendation for you. You don't have to talk about it on show. Show question. Do you have a comedic inspiration, or do you have a favorite form of comedy, i.e. SNL, Jim Carrey, stand-up guys, other podcasts? How do you personally like to consume comedy is the question. I know you said I don't have to talk about this is the reason why I haven't checked out Fantastic Mr. Fox. I'm very set in my ways, but once I make that leap, I'm very open to making a leap, but it's the introvert in me. I need a long time to build up. I'm horrible with recommendations, hence why I didn't check out a goddamn Wes Anderson film until a few weeks ago. I'm very turned off by things, but that turn on or just learning, I'm open to learning, but sometimes I want to talk about a bunch of other shit before I learn. The reason why I haven't watched Fantastic Mr. Fox, and I know that's up there as far as his films are concerned. Concerned. I feel like I said that like concerned. That sounded cool. It's the fucking stop motion. That fucking bugs me. I don't want to watch it seems silly. And for people to say, and I get it, what's neat about it is that was outside of his repertoire. I don't know. I might have butchered that. It was outside of his what he has done. And I'm sure the story's good. And I will watch it. I love George Clooney. This might be the crush I have. I just rather see George Clooney. But I was watching some behind the scenes it came up on like YouTube Shorts, and I was like, oh, that's cool. I will watch it. Also, when I watch I like to watch shows before movies because I can put a show on and kind of zone out, and it ends quicker than a movie does. I like to watch movies like early as I can in the day. So I don't feel like I wasted a night watching a movie. It's a me problem. I get it. I will check out Fantastic Mr. Fox. I know you said I didn't have to talk about it on the show, but I had to let you know where I was coming from. And then as far as comedic inspirations, because the ultimate question was, how do you personally like to consume comedy? Comedic inspiration. It varies. You know, I always say Tosh is my goat. I don't know why. I like him as much as I did when I first found out who he was. People Pleaser was amazing, but I was sold at Happy Thoughts, his second comedy special, Completely Serious. Is that what the first one is? I think it's called Completely Serious. That one was interesting too. He's a lot more silly in that one. He's a lot more silly, and then you finally see like that Tosh voice or ego or persona, however you want to describe it, that in Happy Thoughts. So that was they're all amazing. It is fun to watch Completely Serious. Looking back, you know, Tosh is like up there. Joe List is one of my favorite. I feel like he's super undervalued. He's been in the game for a long time. I think he's so underappreciated. I think he's very prolific. He's dropped a special a year. For the last 3 years. Maybe one of them, it took 2 years, I don't know. So at least 3 specials in 4 years. That's fucking sick, dude. I don't know. He's amazing, and his comedic style and voice is just so like self-deprecation is always good, and I think Joe List has done it so amazingly. Like I can gush. I'm so serious. I'm not slipping in little jokes or doing making myself laugh. Joe List, amazing. Fahim Anwar, amazing. I think he's a little undervalued too. Of course, Shane Gillis, that's everybody's favorite comic right now, as it should be. He's amazing. What a story he has, and what a like comedy voice he has too. He's so good at kind of like being the asshole, quote unquote. He's pretty good at self-deprecation as well. And then of course Norm Macdonald, very I don't want to say out there. He just didn't give a shit, man. Norm Macdonald's, he might, I don't know. He's on the Mount Rush. I usually have an objective Mount Rushmore where I'm like, oh yeah, like Louis C.K., Dave Chappelle, those are probably two of the best joke writers ever. And then it gets kind of scary because it's like, do I just go ahead for Mount Rushmore is only 4 people? I already said 2. Do I go ahead and throw Pryor and Carlin on there? I don't know, but I don't know. There's just so many other. It's a tough. Like I have that Mount Rushmore, and then I have my own subjective Mount Rushmore where it's probably Tosh, Joe List, Norm Macdonald. Stephen Wright's up there for me. A hot take, I'll choose Stephen Wright over Mitch Hedberg. Both great as far as quote-unquote one-liners go. So I'll choose Stephen Wright. I think he's been doing the same set for like 35, 40 years. Like that, and I still laugh so hard at his one-liners, and I know them. And the same with Mitch Hedberg, but it would have been interesting to see Mitch go. Like if it was Mitch, if you don't know, Mitch Hedberg passed away very untimely. And it would have been interesting to see, or if he was still alive, where he'd be at, and like, would he have done killer special after killer special? And then it's like, yeah, no question out of my mind that he's better than Stephen Wright. Also, Stephen Wright, big influence on him. SNL, sketch comedy's great. I was never a big SNL guy. Like, as far as sketches, I really liked a lot of shit Tim and Eric did. I thought if you're going to do sketch comedy, it should be like that. Tim Robinson. I always say Tim Robinson's I Think You Should Leave is kind of like SNL meets Tim and Eric kind of vibes. It's weird. I think like traditional comedy works very well on stage performance-wise, but I am a sucker for like that off-kilter, absurd in sketch, because stand-up is a performance, and you can, and I will appreciate a very off-kilter set. Like it's weird. It's like that's like the business part of my brain of comedy is like where it's like, well, it's almost like you want to make everyone laugh. You don't, but I don't know. It's me personally, I would, if I did sketches, I would lean more off kilter absurd and try to do it well. And then I don't know. I'm just nitpicky. Jim Carrey, amazing. He's great. I'm not gonna go on a Jim Carrey tangent and project what I think on Jim Carrey. I know you're just naming him as an example. Stand-up guys that name some other podcasts. So there's a lot of comedians I enjoy as podcasters more than stand-ups. I just rewatched Andrew Santino's Cheeseburger the other night. You know, I really wish Santino, I took a page out of his book. I used to, I'm very silly and cynical, but I know to my core I'm going to react more times than not cynical than I will silly. And I took a page out of Santino's book, and he's a guy that blends that silliness and that dry, cynic attitude very well. But yeah, I wish he was a little more cynical on Cheeseburger, but it was, I had fun rewatching it. I think I do prefer him more on a podcast. Also, and I only watch 2 podcasts weekly. I watch Tuesdays with Stories with Mark Norman and Joe List, and I will say I think Mark Norman and Joe List chemistry is top tier. Sometimes they rip one right into the microphone. I don't really care for that. I don't really care for toilet humor, but their chemistry when they're not shitting into a microphone, it's amazing. I really think Joe List brings the best out of Mark Norman, and then I think Mark Norman does the same for Joe List. Joe List goes on other podcasts, and I'm like, damn, I wish he was acting like Tuesdays with Story Joe List. And then as of November, I watched Tosh's podcast. I can listen to him talk all day, and then I watch a bunch of other podcasts depending on guests. So yeah, I guess that's how I consume comedy. That was a really insightful question for question number 2, especially after like scolding you for misspelling the podcast name. I know I didn't scold you, but that's amazing. Thank you for the questions. It was fun. I went way too. I thought I was gonna be done with the show by now. You got the comedy nerd coming right out, and I'm fucking gushing all over stand-up comedy for you. So I appreciate that. Sorry I got a little serious, but that was a question. If there was a question to react a little seriously, I would do that one 10 out of 10 times. So thank you for calling back, texting back. Alrighty.